Two comedy gals, Mary K and Suwon Weaver. Two comedy gals, bringing you the good, the bad, and the... Oh man, that sucks.
Yes, hello. Welcome to Two Comedy Gals. I am Suwon Weaver and
I am Mary K.
Yes.
Yay!
It's so great to be here, and I'm excited about our guest today. It's great to see you. How have you been, Mary?
Oh my God, I've been okay, but I had an exhausting week for my day job and also a lot of shit going on with comedy too. So yeah, I mean, just, I've been doing more and more of these prompt shows, and actually they're a lot of fun.
I don't know what that is. What does that mean?
That's like when they give you the improv word or something. And I hosted one for Nishi, and all the comedians were just giving in the prompts, and I was just picking up the prompts, and I don't know, I started stringing them together to make really weird prompts. And I did one that was alien slam poetry.
Nice.
And Jayco, who oh my God, he kicked that thing's ass. He did 3 minutes of beep, boop, beep, boop. Oh, you know a lot about sexuality, right? He was just he was on fire. It was one of the funniest things. Very memorable. So,
nice. Yeah, that sounds like you had a great time. Oh, I love hearing that.
Yeah, that was really fun. And then I had my own show, but that was actually kind of discouraging. And I'm going to be honest, because we all struggle with this about bringer shows, right? And my show isn't openly a bringer show. I don't tell anyone you have to bring someone, but I feel like I trust, and especially these people I had on, I felt like I trusted them to get the reality, which is, guys, you got to bring people.
Yeah. Well, it's hard. It's hard to be, I think it's hard to produce a show, because to make a show really great, you want an audience. So that way it's the energy is there and it's fun, Yeah. And I get it, being a little disappointed when, I was happy to be on that show. So thanks. And I did end up.
You were on it, and I'm not shitting. It's not a jab at you. I don't even know which ones didn't bring, but I myself probably brought 10 people, and our audience was 17. So do the math.
Well, so then I had to. Yeah. So, yeah, so then there were a handful, there were some comedians that were there at the show that came to support. And I thought that was really, and, I know it's so hard.
I'm counting them in my people.
Sure. Of course. They're your people. They came for your show.
Anyway.
Yeah. You know what? And so I do feel like it's hard to get an audience out, because there's so many of us, and there's, we're always doing shows, and we always want people to come. But I also feel like for me, because it's my, because Hot Medusa, as since it's become my show, I do reach out to a lot of people. If they've expressed interest, then I'm like, hey, come to this great show. And I really mean that with all my heart, that I feel like it's a great show to come to. And why not? For me, I actually text people and email and stuff. And I just say hey, our show's up. I would love to see you. And I mean that with all my love. So.
Yeah. And that's what you do as a producer. And that's what I did. Actually, you kind of taught me that. I really activated all my different constituencies, and I got 10 people, right? Including comic. But the thing is, it's just what I don't know. It's hard. And as we go back into live shows, I feel like it's going to get even more difficult, right? Because not everyone's going to feel great about coming out. Yeah. We can't fill places actually up. But so I don't mean to just bitch and complain.
Oh, no. Well, this is the perfect place to bitch and complain. We're doing this to talk about it, it's hard. And especially, I think in your case, especially when you've got certain people on the lineup that haven't done a lot of Zoom shows, and they have a good reputation, you kind of do think that they're going to end up asking the people that they know, like, hey, I'm doing this show. Why don't you come out? Like, you think that would be kind of common, right? Like it would
think.
I don't know. Like it seems reasonable to me. So, and I'm sorry about my voice. I was on a meditation retreat.
Oh my God, that sounds great.
Yeah, I did a lot of yelling.
Cool. Were you like expressing some type of primal emotion?
Yes, I certainly was.
Was it anything you can share?
I yelled a lot of fuck that shit.
So like just straight up anger.
I express so much anger. Do you see me? I look at myself. I can tell I'm crying. But you know what? It's okay. I felt like it needed to come out of my body, and I got some support from Mama Earth. So
that's great.
It was good. It was
that's really good.
It was good. I needed to do that. So
well, and I think maybe all of us, and just no matter what's going on in our personal lives, right? Even I've felt more in touch with anger lately, and maybe certain types of anger that I hadn't allowed myself to feel,
Great.
But maybe it's this great welling up of fury about having to live through and like having to live, right? We're lucky to have lived, but having to go through the shit that is this pandemic, right? And seeing so many businesses fail and so many relationships fail and so many people die, right? And just, it's so infuriating. So much has been on hold for over a year now and probably be that much time again.
Yeah, all of those things that you just mentioned, I was like, check, check, check. Like the business I was in, my relationship, closest friend, other friends, like check, passed away. And it's wild. So, but I don't even feel like some of the anger was for that. And then some of the anger was just because of maybe an ancestral lineage.
Interesting.
Stuff I've taken on.
Interesting.
Years, because I got some years on me.
I got just as many.
Yeah. Well, we've got the years built up. So, all of that is like stuff stored in my body.
How do you get in touch with that ancestral stuff? Because I've often wondered if that's why I'm such an angry person all the time.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, this meditation, we went pretty deep.
Wow.
And I let myself go. I did. I went all the way. I went all the way in. So I could talk to you more about it privately.
All right, good. No, this is really interesting. I think I think all that is super great for comedy because it helps you know better exactly who you are, exactly what and you don't have any problem with that anyway.
Oh, thanks.
Well,
you know what? I do feel like that's true. And sometimes I'm too nice or too polite or let people, but anyways, I don't feel like, it's not like it wasn't like I had a huge separation of like who I am and that kind of stuff, but there was maybe like a little bit of some stuff to fine tune. And I feel like, and still like processing through my body right now. So it's like, this was so recent and it was great. And I needed to do that. So.
Well, good. I'm really glad you did.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about our guest for today. Oh my God.
Yeah. I'm so excited.
Yeah. I love this woman. I met her when I did a podcast in the basement of the Comedy Store, which it was scary because, I got there early. I always get there like an hour early for this type of shit. I go down there and it gave me such the creeps. And then I found out later, that's supposed to be the haunted part of the store. Great. I was down there by myself. But anyway, then when I went back at the right time, there were people there, including our guest who was also on that podcast. And she is hilarious. I just adored her. I always wanted to get to know her better. So she is known as the dominatrix of comedy. You guys, it is Mistress K. So let's bring her in.
Yeah.
Yay, bring her in. Comedy gals, two comedy gals, bringing our friends to talk comedy with us. Okay, I'm a terrible singer. We understand that.
No, you're great. Yeah.
Hey, here she is, Mistress K. You guys, give it up, give it up. Woo woo. Welcome.
Hi. How's it going,
Hey.
ladies?
Hey, all right. So welcome to our podcast. Like, this is called Two Comedy Gals. And what we do is we basically shoot the shit with our comedy gal friends. And like what we like to ask, because it's interesting, the variety of answers that we get. Like, what are your side hustles? And also, how did you come to like be doing comedy?
Well, my side hustle is what got me into comedy.
Very cool.
I started selling sex toys in people's living rooms.
Cool.
Love it.
Yeah.
Like
Come to my house.
Yeah, I wasn't in a very good relationship, and I thought bringing some help into the bedroom would help that department. And the toy stayed, the man did not. And yeah. And then I went down this rabbit hole of just like finding myself and doing all these things, and became a dominatrix. And
fun.
I was making people laugh, and they were like, "Did you ever think about putting down the dildo and picking up a microphone?"
It's remarkably similar in shape.
Yeah, right. Like you just, you just whip people into shape. You're like, listen to me.
All right, you kind of skipped over like I became a dominatrix and okay, wait, back up. Okay, back up. How does one do that? Like, what's the recruitment? What's the wardrobe? What's the training?
There's really no recruitment. It's just it's one of those things where, so when I was selling sex toys, I met a lot of kinky people. And those people, they always like tell you like a little bit to pique your interest, but not the full thing. So they can kind of like, get you. They like, they tease you. They give you a little bit, but they don't tell you the whole story. And so then you end up going to these places and experiencing these things. And then you end up starting to do some of these things. And then you get told that you're really good at a particular skill set. And people are like, you're doing this for free. You should be charging people money.
Cool.
And I was like, you mean I can get paid to tear men down? What? I've been doing this for free my whole life.
Well, we're very sex positive on this podcast. So like, I think that is so freaking interesting that you can make a living at that. I love it.
Yeah. So I just took what I was already good at and just excelled at it, and then charged a price.
Man. That sounds like fun. And then because then I always wanted to know, like, what was the Venn diagram of dominatrix stuff over comedy stuff? And does it line up exactly? Do you practice your set while you're?
No. No. That like, here's the thing. The comedy was always in my mind. Mm-hmm. Like I was just like, all right, get on the floor, and like, but in my head, I'm like, this guy's really doing this. Like, what is happening here? Like in my head, like the internal voice of me is just like cracking jokes on this man. But like the professional side of me is like, all right, now do this.
I have a question. So because this is just, I haven't played in that very much other than, hanging out with like a few girls that have done it, but I don't know. Do you dress up in the like dominatrix wear?
That's the thing. People always like have this idea of what dominatrix. It's like one of those like, I don't know. It's like one of those ideas that people have that like we dress in latex and leather and like lace and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And although we can and we do, like realistically, I could wear what I'm wearing now and treat you the same. It's more of just a visual thing. And sometimes for people, it's more of, you dress for the job that you want type of deal, right? Like like some people wear capes, I wear leather, or you know what I mean? It's just, it can be, but honestly, like sometimes it's just like, I don't really feel like getting dressed up. Like I'm going to treat you the same, like a piece of shit that you are. So like, why do I got to get dressed up? Like,
yeah. Nice. Where do you get clients? I'm like, how do I apply?
There's always at least one at every show that I'm at. They're like, so tell me more. And it's like
Like, just send me an email. Okay. Like I'm only here to tell jokes tonight. You know what I mean? Like,
that is so cool. And you know what? Because we met on a podcast, right? We may have done 1 or 2 shows together. I think I've seen you in a show at the Haha, right? And we ran into each other that way. And then we were going to do a show down in Orange County. And my husband was like, you're not doing a live show.
Hey, I understand. And Orange County is like Trump area. So they're like definitely anti-maskers down there.
Yeah.
Which is fine if you're like willing to take that risk, but like it's understandable. So it's not a big deal. You know what I mean? I was actually there last night and did a show. It was a great turnout. People always have a good time at the show. And it's kind of funny. We're like the only comedy place in town. So we had about 50 people there. And I was just like, I was like, geez, this is definitely a super spreader.
Oh, that is so cool though. And like, I see you're doing a lot. I started following you, on the Insta and I'm like, damn, she's out every night.
Yeah, I literally am. I'm doing comedy like every day. It's kind of crazy. Like, and now with the Zoom stuff, I'm in a comedy competition this afternoon. I just like, I'm doing UK shows. Like I have a following in like the UK and Ireland now.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it's super fun. I think right now it's a great time to be a comic just because of the pandemic. Because I don't know about you, but it definitely gave me a moment of pause where I could just sit down and actually like write. And then not only write, but keep perfecting it because I was just like, oh, I'm going to do this on a Zoom. I'm going to do that on a Zoom and then work it out. So yeah, I really, I know it's terrible to say, but it's like, I think like the pandemic was a blessing for me in disguise because I've just been doing so much more and my comedy has surpassed where it was. And I wouldn't have gotten to this level if I hadn't had this time.
I think it did let us focus more, right? Because also you don't have to leave your home. You can sit there and do your writing up until 5 minutes or 10 minutes before your show, At least
you don't have to go out. There's no 2-drink minimum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you don't get touched by the creepy guys at the bar. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just like a lot of things that you don't have to deal with nowadays. You're just like, you hit a button and then you're there.
And like, cause I love your approach, right? And how you got into comedy. Cause one of the things we like to ask people, okay, is like kind of how did your, let's call it comedy journey or whatever, evolve based on the fact that you're a woman? Has it been different? Have there been certain things, that might have happened or that happened differently or things you always have to keep in mind or what?
Yeah. It's really tough being a woman in comedy. Like that's what I think that guys don't really understand the plight of being a woman in a heavily predominated male room.
Yeah.
I have seen so many women go up on stage and tell jokes that are not their own character, to try to appease the men in the room to get them to laugh.
Oh, right. Like more talking about your vagine.
That or like, oh, I'm a whore, I'm a slut. I slept with so many guys, or I'm desperate. I need a date, that type of shit. In me, it's like, I don't give a fuck what you think. I'm here to do my comedy, and if you don't like it, guess what? You're not my target audience. I don't care.
Yeah.
So I've always had that internal confidence where it's just like, I'm not here for you.
Yeah.
I'm here for me. And I think a lot of women, they get chewed up and spit out. I was very clear when I came into this. I was like, all right, I'm not dating another comic. Like, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And reason being is, why would I want to be with another broke person? Like, you know what I mean? Like there can only be one attention whore in this relationship, and it's me. I just don't want to compete. And I've had those guys brush up against me. Oh, sorry. Like that kind of creepy stuff. Or because of the way that I am on stage or because of the things that I talk about, they think they can approach me in a certain way.
Yeah.
And I've never been messed with, because anybody who knows me or knows my comedy knows that I am not the one to try to mess with.
Right.
Like, these are not just jokes, but these are things that actually happen to me that like I could literally kick your ass. Like,
Oh my God.
it's like you're not going to step to me. So I have that. But I have walked so many women after like a mic or a show to their car.
Right.
To make sure that they get there okay. It's one of those things where you've always got to be aware, like where you put your drink. You know what I mean?
Personal
You take your
safety,
drink.
yeah.
You take your drink on stage with you. You don't leave it on the table.
Right.
You know. And you wonder, sometimes you wonder, like, oh, like I don't want to get too drunk. You know what I mean? Like, because you're around these people, and there are good guys in comedy. They are. They're great people that are in comedy, but you always have that one bad egg, you know what I mean, that's in there that's just willing to do things that are not cool. Yeah. But I will say it's getting better. Like I think it's getting better. I think men are being woke, from what's happening in the world right now. Yeah. And I think people are more like astute to just the problems that are going on in the world. Like I would not want to be a white man right now. Like I don't think that they're doing very well. Because
bad about it. They really do.
Because they get up and they tell these same old dick jokes. It's just like, come on, oh my God. Yes, tell me the plight of a white man and their privilege, please. Tell me more.
Exactly.
So you have to listen to that stuff, and it's just, I can't tell you how many times I'll sit in a mic and it's just like one misogynistic thing after the next.
Right.
Like I listened to this one mic where it was like every guy was just like, oh, women this, I can't get a date. Nobody wants to sleep with me. And then there was no jokes. It was just like a rambling of things. And then the guy like claimed that like he was sexually assaulted or like he was he was like a victim of molestation. And then people laughed at that. Right. And I was just like, oh man. And he heard me and he's like, oh, what? You didn't think that was funny? And I was like, no, I don't pick on victims. Like, this isn't a joke. Like, get some jokes, then come back.
Right.
And it's really sad, like you hear these men, they're like, yeah, I cheated on my girlfriend so she would leave me. And she stuck around. And then they wonder why they don't get a date.
Right. Or laughs at shows.
And I said something to the guy and he got pissed off. He got really pissed off. And it was funny because I was in a show with him and I went over and I was like, hey, good set tonight. And he's like, yeah, hey, I had a problem with you heckling me at that mic. I'm a good guy. And I was like, well, you couldn't tell from your set.
Good for you.
I stuck up for myself. And then he was just like, I don't really like people that do cancel culture. And like, it's my art, it's like my side of the story. And I was like, you know what? You have a point there. It is your art. You know what I mean? But on the same side of things, it's my opinion. And I can say whatever the hell I want.
Yeah.
And so we agreed to disagree. And like, we kind of squashed the beef. But it was funny that this guy was still butthurt after 3 days of me just having a comment to say something about him.
Right.
And it's like, I don't even know you, but you were hurt for 3 days. Like, that's kind of funny. Like,
I mean, that's the weird. Yeah. Like when we stand up for ourselves, they hit back and attack. And like, I've had that happen to me where like in the same mic, I went up after someone and I made some remark about like how fucking stupid he was. Right.
Yeah.
Opinions. And a guy came up after me and I was the only woman there. It was at the old fourth wall, right? Where they lock you in with 10 guys. And he said, because I'm older, he's like, you know what I like? I'm just imagining an older woman sucking my dick right here, right now. Like her head would be like right here. My cock would be and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's not a joke though.
Yeah, that's, I'm like that made me uncomfortable.
There's nothing creative or interesting or anything except for intimidation and bullying. And just using your power and also the circumstance of being all guys.
Yeah.
So that is particularly disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, I love a good raunchy joke. And if I'm the butt of the joke, at least make it funny because I want to laugh too. You know what I mean?
Right? Exactly.
I had this I went to this place. I won't say what it is. I won't say what the place was, but I was coming from a show. I did a show at the place and then they had a mic afterwards. So I stuck around. I went outside. I was talking to the comics, whatever. And I made a flippant comment because this guy kind of said something about the way that I'm dressed. Like, I'm very visually appearing like this. I look fabulous. I know. I understand.
You do.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's like, I actually take pride in what I look like on stage.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm going to bomb, at least I'm going to look fabulous doing it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But he said something about my appearance, which, again, this is all men have, is to tear women down on the way that we look, right? Because they're fucking stupid. And so he said something about me, and I just said a comment back, and then he ripped into me. Like, it wasn't even anything like offensive. It was just like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
And he ripped into me and then was like, I think you're a dude. Like, you must be one of those like he-she's, right? And like, I am a big ally of the trans community.
Yeah.
And I went in, like, I just went in on him, and I was like, you know what? You're not the first guy that said that. Like, come up with something a little bit more clever. And it's like, yeah, I do have a dick, and it's bigger than yours. And it's in the car right now. You want me to get Tyrone? I was like, he'll put you to shame. Like, you know, and I just went in on him, and I was like, and furthermore, I was like, trans people go through a lot to be who they are. I was like, so shame on you for saying that. And I was like, and if I was a trans person, you know what? I look hella good. Like, thank you. Thank you. And I was like, this is why women don't come to this place in particular. And they don't come to this mic. And he goes, I don't care. We don't want you here.
Yeah.
Blatant.
Yeah. Right in my face. He's like, we don't want women comics here.
We get
You're
a lot
not
of
funny.
that vibe.
We don't want you here.
Yeah.
And I was like, first of all, sir, you need me here because there is not a joke between the three of you. Like, this place gets classier because I'm in it. Don't you understand?
Yeah, exactly.
You'll
Not only that, but like in audiences, if there's, you know, women kind of drive audience response too, because a guy is going to look at his lady before he laughs at shit sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I don't know about you, but when I look at Instagram, because, you know, most of my Instagram is other comics because it's like networking or whatever.
Because us, yeah.
Yeah. And I look at the shows and I'm like, no women. Oh, one woman. Oh, yeah. One woman. Oh, yeah. No women. And I'm like, if you're producing this show, how do you not have a female comic on the lineup?
Not one.
Like, women globally, we outnumber men 2-1. That's half of the audience. Like, that's half of the audience. And you don't have a representative. Not even talking about a person of color. Forget that. It's like, you don't even have the other gender present in the room. It's like, that to me, it's so asinine. You know, it's like these male comics, they're just like a circle jerk. It's like, oh, let me just pump up your ego. Even though you're terrible, like, you have no jokes, you're terrible. But we're just going to keep having you on because you're my broski.
Exactly.
And it's so annoying.
I don't know why they just want like total sausage fest all the time. And then do they want that in the audience as well? I mean,
I don't think so.
Better if there's going to be chicks there, and girls want to see other girls, actually, unless they're, you know, kind of like completely bought into like a misogynist kind of world. And then that's the thing.
Yeah. And what I don't understand though is women, right? Women in comedy. There are pockets of us that are trying to build up other women. Absolutely. There are pockets, right? But it's not like it is with the guys. The guys are, again, they're all the circle jerks, right? They're all like, look, you look at the people, famous people. Kevin Hart has his crew of dudes. Tiffany Haddish is the one token chick in that crew. You know, Adam Sandler, I don't even think he has a token chick in his crew. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, you see these comics, they get these rings of all their dudes. There's no women represented in any of these crews.
Yeah. Like down in Austin, who's the podcaster who moved down there?
Joe Rogan.
Yeah, Rogan and, you know, Chappelle. No women in there.
None. And I don't get that. So what I'm trying to do with my platform, because I started another thing that I started doing during this quarantine is trying to produce an all-female show.
Love it.
And-
Suwon produces one too.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So if we as women can go, okay, we see a problem here. We're going to rectify this.
Exactly.
And then we change the script because they always say, you know, if you can't join them, beat them, right?
That's your motto.
So we create these other shows. And the thing that women, we have a bad habit of doing is tearing another woman down, right? Rather than saying, I see you, sis. I don't necessarily like your comedy or agree with it, but I see you. And as a sister in comedy, I'm going to support you.
Right, exactly.
Because I want to see more of us make it.
Right.
And if it's not me, I hope it's somebody that I know, you know? And if I do make it, I know who I'm calling up and bringing up with me.
I think it really takes a conscious shift because women are brought up to be rivals with each other and to think that there's only one place at the table for a woman. There can only be one of us, right? And so it's going to be me, right? But no, we have to change that thinking. And like, I love hearing that you're producing that show. Suwon's got Hot Medusa, right? And like, that's what we all have to do in order to, you know, just bring all of us up is be respectful, even if you don't like that person's comedy or even like them personally, or say we compete. It's all right to compete and still love each other, right?
Yeah. It's competing without the bringing down, you know, without the tearing down part. Because it is like what you're saying about Tiffany Haddish. Like she does like, she ready, they ready.
I love her.
Yeah. She is all about bringing people up. And I'm totally with you. The other way is, you know what? The other way leaves you feeling like shit anyways. So why do it? You know, why live your life?
Yeah.
No, I'm not. Yeah.
Like last night I had a show. I called it the Bro Show because when I was booking the show, I was like, yeah, come on, do the show. And then before I realized all my slots, it was all dudes. I was like, oh my God, I did it myself. I'm the token on my own show. And I was like, okay, fine. Like, let's see how this goes. And let me tell you, it was a good show, but it was lacking because I was the only woman there. And I could tell because I could gauge by the audience that some of the women weren't as engaged.
Yeah.
Because there were no women on the lineup but me. So I'll never do that again.
I think there's a whole different vibe to a show when it's all women because we talk about I'm not doing my act right because that would be shitty. But I do have a joke about like how men do comedy to get laid and women, we do it because we have something to say, right? We have something to fucking say. And so in the women's shows, and I used to help Suwon with her show, right? In the Hot Medusa, like the live vibe was so great when you just had like everybody, and we bring that passion, right? And it's not necessarily just about trying to get laid. I mean, we like getting laid too. Don't mistake me.
Yeah.
I think it's funny how men think that like they have this perception of women that all we do is talk about like dating or cycles or like children.
Period.
And it's like, although those are parts, that is not what we all talk about. Like the first female show I ever produced, not one person mentioned a period. Not one.
Yeah, I've been on very few shows that we're actually talking about periods. Like,
you know, it's tough to write a good period joke. I mean, you know, it takes skill.
I know. I have a girlfriend. She calls it her period piece. And it is just period puns, like off the charts, hysterical, just hysterical stuff. I'm like, after listening to this set, I'm like, I feel like I need to like go get a period right now. Like,
I'm just gonna stop and buy some tampons on the way home.
Yeah. But you know, it's I don't know, it's funny. Like things are changing, but even representation, you know, like the Netflix specials.
Same.
There's only a certain couple of women that keep getting them.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah. Very noticeable. And
why?
Then a whole ton of dude ones. And I'm like, who are these guys even? Like some of them, you know, I'm like, I don't even know these.
I forget the comic that I watched whose special was on. And about 3 minutes in, I fell asleep.
Oh man.
Even I fell asleep. I was just like, how is it? This is supposed to be funny, like entertaining. And it was not. And then I fell asleep during, dare I say it, Chris Rock's. His new one, the tambourine. I was just like,
wow. I haven't seen it yet. I always liked him before, so that's interesting. Okay, so you know.
I mean, everybody's got their opinion, but
yeah,
it's just like I'm just like, oh, like you know, like I can't relate. Like what else is out there? You know, like what else is out there?
Yeah, it's unfortunate sometimes when they have I mean, so I haven't seen it, so I'm not commenting on his special, but you know, it's almost like that same old, like they kind of go down that same groove. We've already heard this before, you know, your opinion about the way that you think woke people are, you know, sometimes it's about that, or sometimes it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Do you have something new about that? Because it's not helping, you know?
I love comedy that is like a new perspective.
So, well, who's some of your favorite? Give us a shout out. Some of your favorite female comics. You got anybody?
Lisa Lampanelli.
Love her.
She's like definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Joan Rivers.
Love her. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And Lisa Lampanelli is like, she doesn't do comedy anymore, right? Like
she's a life coach.
But she was so filthy. Like I loved how filthy she was because it was just like, yes, it's a wave.
Yeah.
Right?
She picked on everyone.
Obscenity. Yeah.
Everyone. She was like, even deaf people. She's like, who told them? I loved her because she was super raunch. Yeah. She was like totally original in the fact she made fun of everybody. She didn't care.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Rivers, of course. Like
you know who I really love, and this is fangirly, but I just love Lori Kilmartin. You know, she is so hilarious. She literally laughs at death and makes it funny. And plus, she has a terrible attitude of hating everything, which I identify a lot with that. I love that.
She's definitely like a super smart comic, you know.
Yeah.
It's very smart. It's like, oh God, you're so damn smart.
Right. And I get mad for her, right? Because she's been around so long and she's so funny and so original and like no specials, right? No, you know, and none of the stuff that these like, I'm not going to call out any shitty male comics, but pick one, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I really am right now in the space of I really am enjoying the LGBTQIA community right now doing comedy and like gender non-binary folks. Like I'm living for their comedy because it's their viewpoint. And I feel like right now, because I'm trying to be a little bit more mindful of like my terminology when I speak to folks.
Yes.
And like using pronouns and whatnot. And when I hear them give their side of the story to things, it just makes I learn something, but I also laugh because I feel like comedy is a platform for those folks to basically say, hey, this is what's going on in our community and pay attention. You know what I mean?
And when you hear someone's story, right? When I was living in San Antonio, my best comedy friend was non-binary and like grew up in Texas, non-binary, and had a rough time. And like, I just had so much empathy as she told me her story over time, right? It was incredible. And like, well, I don't know if you know that. Do you know Heather Rogue out of Sacramento?
No.
Fantastic trans woman. So funny. Oh my God.
Yeah, she is great.
I am loving her. Just met her in the Zoom days, you know?
Yeah. And that's the cool thing. It's like, we're all connecting now. And I just love different viewpoints. Like, you know, when you hear something that you've never heard before, you're just like, oh man, why didn't I think of that? That's super clever. You know, like I have those moments where, I don't really like watching comedy these days.
Yeah.
Because the other side of my brain isn't sitting there just like a regular audience member listening. Like I'm like deconstructing a joke or
you're like, oh, too many words.
Giving feedback, criticizing it. I'm like, oh, that's really the tag, not the punch. You know, like I just
it's like work. I feel like when I'm watching comedy, I'm like, oh, I'm working, I'm not relaxing at all.
Yeah. So if I can watch comedy where somebody gets me out of that mental headspace where I'm just sitting there like holding on to every word that they're saying. And I'm like, oh, this is great. Like, I love them like instantly. I'm like, they're awesome. I love it.
Yeah. I love someone that has a really, really original point of view. And that's why I've been doing, I'll do like any old Zoom show that I might even see. And some of them are gross, right? But it's a way to meet people from like all over the world. Yeah. It's been fun. Like I have enjoyed that piece of it.
Yeah. A couple of girlfriends of mine, they were in a comedy competition, which I won't name. But they got to the finals. Right. And the people that were in the finals, it was just like a shit show. Like it was all men. And all they were talking about was like, just really like crude.
Well, that's who wins that contest. I know exactly the one you mean. Yeah.
Crude material.
Yeah. That's what they love on there.
My friend was like, I promoted the heck out of this show and reached into my bag of contacts for them to come out and support me on this show. And this is their first introduction to comedy. And it was terrible. Like,
and I bet some of them left, right? I've had that happen.
And they were like, this is what you do for a living. Like it just, it soured the whole thing. And I was like, geez, that's terrible. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And people paid money to watch.
That's too bad.
That's the worst.
Yeah. And thank God they didn't have to like come out to the club. At least they're in their living room and turn
Can't just walk out.
Don't have to walk out because they spent money on it, and then they're there for her, and she's asked them, and then it's too bad.
Yeah, it was terrible. She was just like, "What happened?" Like she was like, "I feel like I need to have like a conference just to like sort out my feelings on that whole thing." And I was like, "Girl, don't stretch yourself."
Yeah.
Well, so do you have any kind of, we always ask this question, if you have a story that's kind of like a horror story for yourself in comedy. I mean, it sounds like
the worst. We love.
Well, it's great because you do sound like you've been able to take care of yourself and not have someone like physically overtake you, thank God,
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff. But, I mean, shit still happens out on the road or you witness stuff. And, we always like to get in there.
I've been fortunate where I haven't. Again, I practice what I preach. What you see is what you get with me. Like I am an alpha female. Like you don't hurt me. I hurt you. So automatically guys are like, okay, she's not the one to mess with. So I've been very fortunate in that sense. But there are other ways that I've been torn down. I've had men tell me, you're the funniest chick in the room. Instead of the funniest comic, I'm the funniest girl. Like that type of little like, nitpicky stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or the putting me on a, oh, come out, we really need you to promote. And then I come out and bring all these people as like an audition to get on their show. And then I never hear from them again.
And
I'm like,
bullshit.
It's like, I just sold 10 tickets that were $20 a piece. That's $200. And I didn't get paid for this. I was like, the least you could do is put me on another lineup at the very least.
That's dirty.
Or tell me that I have 10 minutes and then like me at 5.
What?
Like, I don't know where you went to school. I don't know if the California education system is that bad, but 10 and 5 are far away. Like 5 minutes of material, you can barely get anything through. And then it's like, okay, I thought I had 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then they let, this guy that's never done comedy, who runs the light 3 times, to go on and on and on. And it's just like, really?
Yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah.
I'm getting to the level where it's like, I'm a seasoned professional right now. I'm going to ask exactly what I want of you.
Yeah.
Like these guys, now I'm getting the influx of, hey, I heard you have a show. I'd love to get on. And I'm like, first of all, who are you?
Yeah.
Who sent you?
Yeah.
And your reel is terrible. Like you're sending me a misogynistic set, and I am known as the alpha female.
Right.
I am a feminist. It says it everywhere on anything that you could ever look up about me. Like, take a minute, pause, look me up on the interwebs, figure out who the hell I am, and then send me a reel, or at least compliment me before you ask something of me.
Yeah. You know what? I do. I have an all-female show, and I've had guys like try to hit me up and be like, "Oh, hey, well, can you just put me on your show?" And I'm like, did you even look? Like, it's all over it. Like, all you have to do is have one look. You obviously just decided to, try to slip into the DMs. And I'm a lesbian, so I'm also not doubly interested in you. So thank you.
Or I had this, I have these guys, oh, can I get on a show? And I said, well, this is how it works.
Yeah.
You want to be on the show, you got to come out and support the show before you're on it.
That's what I tell people too. But then they still don't show up and support. And then they're like, oh, I'm circling back. I'm like,
no, you never circled in the first place.
Thank you. Quite understood.
Yeah.
It's like, I was like, the labyrinth, you didn't follow the path. Right. No.
Just like a man not to ask for directions, right?
Right. Exactly. All right, you guys, we are going to have to wrap up pretty soon. Oh my God, Mistress K, it's been so fucking great to have you. Do you have anything you want to promote?
Well, I am in this comedy invitational tournament that is this afternoon at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 6 p.m. Eastern Time.
But you know what? This won't be showing.
Yeah, it won't
that's
be
fine. Never mind.
Tell us something else, please.
I have Futurist Female, which is a Zoom show that is on March 8th, which coincidentally happens to be International Women's Day. Go us. Yes. I'm doing a show in Las Vegas on the 27th at the Las Vegas Test Kitchen. It's a beautiful outdoor venue. We have some really high name people there. I'm going to be hosting, so I'm excited for that. And I'm going to Hawaii. Doing a show in Hawaii, dirtygirlcomedy.com. I think we've got about 7 tickets left.
It's my God, that's great. Is that Erica Schwartzkopf or someone else?
Justine Smith. And it's like a burlesque, like drag queen extravaganza with comedy.
Oh my God, I love it.
Awesome. It's a show and a half, let me tell you.
Jesus, that's going to be fabulous.
But yeah, just follow me on the gram. It's Mistress K5. I have a ton of shows coming up March, ton of shows in April. I'm like literally every weekend I'm booked.
Well, we love you, and we will let you know when this drops, and we will continue to follow your career with applause.
Awesome. You too. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate it.
All right. We will catch you later.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye. I don't know how we.
I'm just going to leave that way you guys can.
Not that technical. Sorry.
I know. I was like, I should be ready to.
Sorry, because I got a thing in 9 minutes from now. So I got to keep cracking.
Mary, thank you so much. That was so great.
This was great. Don't you adore her? She's fucking amazing. I love her.
What a sweetheart. And she just, only has great
powerhouse.
And do. So
yeah.
All right. Well,
I've been following her.
Time.
Yeah. Great time. And let's think about what we're going to do for next time. Anyway, meantime, got anything to promote? I don't think I do.
Hot Medusa, March 18th, if this even comes out before that.
March 18th. I will be there. I will be supporting that show with all my heart and my ticket.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye.